Dave Abrams. Happy Easter.
And I'm Kristin Legata. Happy Easter and welcome to Arundel County Week in Review. In this week's episode, we'll talk to our county's Rec and Park Director about Mayo, and we'll take a look at police officers helping kids build soapbox derby cars. But first, making headlines this week. An exciting new construction project is going to lighten the load for our police officers. Yesterday, County Executive Steve Shue joined law enforcement and detention officials to break ground on a new central booking facility. The $11.8 million facility will be open for business in 2020. Shue said it would be a game changer for police officers when they book suspects for processing because it'll save them valuable time.
This facility will ensure that those who have committed crimes are arrested, transported, charged, and put behind bars as quickly and as safely as possible. Just as importantly, we estimate that this facility will have the effect of putting the equivalent of 35 additional sworn police officers and sheriff's deputies back on the streets rather than tied up in administrative and transportation functions. This is one capital project that will ensure our public safety professionals have more time to do what they've been trained to do, protect the citizens of Anne Arundel County.
Again, the efficiency of this facility will equate to putting an additional 35 officers on the street. So the new police academy broke ground at the end of last year, and now construction has started on the central booking facility. That's great stuff. Police Academy.
Just don't, you can find yourself at the police academy, but you don't want to find yourself at central booking.
I don't want to be on the wrong side.
I mean, something
of the
tells me it
bars.
would be very nice, but you still don't want to go visit there.
I don't want to.
No, we're going to try and stay out of there, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Stay in school.
Yeah, don't do drugs. Drugs are bad.
Yeah.
Well, get your heartstrings ready, Kristin.
Oh, no.
This one will make you angry. It will make you sad.
Oh, no.
It will make you overwhelmed by the cuteness. County police this week busted an illegal kennel in Glen Burnie and charged 2 people with animal cruelty. 6 dogs were found at the residential home, 2 of which were severely emaciated. 1 dog had to be euthanized because it was unable to breathe properly. The owners of the home, who are not licensed, were charged with 40 counts of cruelty, including failure to provide adequate food, air, space, and veterinary care. The others are recovering nicely at an Elkridge doggy daycare.
Our job here is to help them become healthy enough to travel. They weren't healthy enough to travel when they were first pulled. So we're looking at hopefully the little guys will be ready sometime next week, and then the older 2 will be ready the following week.
Great to hear that the dogs are okay, Kristin, and great work by the police department and animal control to rescue those little guys.
I know you told me to be prepared for that story, Dave, but there's just something about animal cruelty.
Which emotion was it? The cuteness?
I think
or
it's the anger,
It was the anger
and the emotion. I mean, it's very unfortunate what happened, and I don't know the circumstances, and I'm glad that a lot of these animals are getting help now, but some of them didn't make it, and there's just to me, there's no excuse for it.
Well, and people were sending their dogs there for training, I believe. So, I mean, you have a responsibility when you're taking care of somebody else's dog.
Exactly.
I mean, aside from the fact of the general, humanity of the whole thing, you have a responsibility there. So it's a good thing. It's a shame that one of the dogs had to be put down, and hopefully the others will live long, vibrant days with wagging tails and chasing balls.
I hope.
And playing with their cat friends.
That's what I hope for everyone.
I know. Yeah. We'll see. We'll do an update later and see how they did.
Sounds good. Thank you. Well, we have 2 great events coming up next week on the anniversary of the assassination of Martin Luther King. On Wednesday, April 4th, shout out happy birthday, Sherry Lagana.
Happy birthday, Sherry.
Happy birthday.
Mama Lagana.
Mama Lagana. Officials will gather at Whitmore Park in Annapolis to pay respects to the fallen leader and talk about his vision for equality. We'll hear from County Executive Shue, Annapolis Mayor Gavin Buckley, and others, and we will also find out about plans to improve the park right across from the Arundel Center. This is one of 2.
What are they going to do, Kristin?
I know, I'm so excited. This is one of 2 events next week sponsored by Anne Arundel United. The second event is the following day, April 5th. Happy birthday, Vicky Lagana.
There you go. Whoa.
I know, it's double trouble.
So weird in your house.
Double trouble. The following day, on April 5th at I-5 Church in Glen Burnie, there's an event called Race Matters. It's a 5-hour program that'll feature a presentation by the Race Equity Institute called Groundwater. This event is free and runs from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the church on Hollands Ferry Road. For more information about these events, please go to aacounty.org/united. Please go.
That's a perfect segue because today we shot our first episode of Real Talk. It's a new show
Real Talk with our fave.
with Mr. Derek Matthews,
What's
who,
up?
of course,
What's
is
up, Derek?
doing a lot of the work behind the scenes for Anne
And
Arundel
United, yep.
And we think that this show is really going to help kind of bring it all together, where people, it's about, I think, maybe 4 months into the program, and there's still people going, what is that?
Yeah.
So I think
More
now that we
promo.
have this show, it's an easier way for people to relate to it and understand what we're trying to do. But
Fantastic.
go out, no matter what your persuasion or background is, go to this event. It
And
is
take
during
your
the day.
kids. Like I think we
Take
said
your
a couple
kids.
weeks ago, I don't think they do enough education on Martin Luther King in schools now.
Yeah.
I can't say that for a fact. It's been a long time since I've been in school, but these are two great events.
Yeah, definitely
So-
the Whitmore Park event, bring the kids. The I-5 church event is a little long and a little high, so I'm not
Okay.
a little high-minded, so I'm not sure if it's like little kids, but definitely teenagers.
Yeah.
We would love to have teenagers there because you really need young people to bring in, because they're going to tell you the truth.
Right.
Adults, we're more guarded and we're more careful
We have
about what
filters.
we say. Yeah, we have filters. Most of us do, not all of us. So check those out. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we'll talk to Recreation and Parks Director, Mr. Rick Anthony from the Fun Department. Take a look at our community calendar for events happening around town, and we will be right back.
If you smoked, this new lung cancer screening could save your life. Visit SaveByTheScan.org.
Well, welcome back. Joining us in the studio this week, we're delighted to have Mr. Rick Anthony, the director of our county's Rec and Parks. Rick, how goes it?
Very good.
Very good.
Yes,
What's happening,
excited to
Mr.
be
Anthony?
Yes.
Here again. It's been a while.
I know, we've missed you. Well, spring is here, something else we've missed, I think. I think all the
getting there.
snow's gone. And what better to talk about this time of year than our county parks?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we're seeing a lot of upgrades going on right now at a bunch of our county parks. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, I mean, as the season blossoms, so goes my department. We are just doing a ton of things. The county executive has been so supportive of our department. And so we have capital projects going on in several of our parks like Bell Branch getting a new turf field, Loopers in Pasadena getting a renovation there, and repaving trails and boat ramps, so all the fun stuff.
All the boat
it's
ramps.
Exciting, yeah.
Yes.
It's been very, very exciting, so we're really appreciative of his support.
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
And one we wanted to talk about in particular today, we want to talk about Mayo. Talk to us about Mayo Peninsula Parks.
Yeah, so obviously this has been a project that has brought a lot of attention to the department, but the county has owned these parks on the Mayo Peninsula for several years, some of multiple 10, 20-year park purchases that we've had.
Yeah.
And there's always been a design that we would eventually develop these parcels for parks. I think Beverly Triton had a master plan done several years ago that just really never got realized. So with the push for access, this is not just a local push. This was a federal and state push that people basically wanted to say that they needed access and deserved access to public lands. So we started looking at the concept phase of what it would take to put the infrastructure into the parks, and then we went into a master plan, which is kind of where we are right now, and heading to design. So
Exciting.
it is.
Yeah.
It really is. And, unfortunately, it kind of tied in with everything else going on with the moratorium being lifted and the traffic issue. So I certainly understand understand some of the concerns, but
Right.
we still feel very strongly that this is going to be a very positive amenity for the community.
Yeah.
Talk about the scope of this in terms of, people are concerned about development, and they're calling the park a development almost the same as like residential or commercial development.
Yeah.
What is the goal, and what actually is the opposition about for the main park?
And this does happen quite a bit. I think there's really some fears, unfounded fears, that these parks are going to generate a ton of traffic. But when you really look at the realities, every single park, with the exception of maybe Kinder, that we have and manage is on a peninsula. It's a waterfront park on a peninsula. So if you look at Fort Smallwood, if you look at Downs, and if you look at Quiet Waters, they are beautiful amenities to the community, and they really don't contribute to the traffic with the fact that some of the folks are thinking, are imagining. And we've had a tremendous amount of success. And it is really funny because most of the parks, when they get started in development, there's always the opposition, and people talk about crime and traffic and all of these things. But when the park is done, you see all the advertisement of when they're selling their houses, how the property values go up, how the people are so excited about that. And I feel strongly.
And that happened with Quiet Waters.
Quiet Waters, yeah, exactly. And this is the case. And this is not just Anne Arundel. I've been involved with the National Rec and Parks Association. It's across the nation. These things happen, that there's a perceived fear of bringing in more crime or bringing in more traffic or bringing in the outsiders. And that just really doesn't really pan out to be the reality. And so most people, once they get built, and 10, 15 years later, they're very excited and happy about having a park that they can enjoy.
And you know this. You live down there. You live near the park. So
I do.
People
I
find
do.
you in the grocery store all the time and tell you what they think.
Yeah, and I got some great neighbors. There are a lot of people that understand the job that I have to do. They're very supportive. They're probably not as loud as the ones that are opposed to the parks, but there's truly a lot of good people in that community that do understand
Shout
what
out.
we have.
Yeah, Beverly Beach.
Shout out.
Yeah. I'm happy to be there.
Good.
Yeah.
So as part of, obviously, we're talking about fears and, reality versus perception, but regardless of what you think is going to happen, you are listening to the citizens. You've had a ton of public meetings and planning sessions. You've adjusted your plans based on those. And I believe right now there's a traffic study going on. What's going on with that?
Yeah, we've had our traffic study done, and then there's a larger study that's going to incorporate some of the findings in our study. And you're right, we have been very attentive to the community's concerns, certainly understanding that we're not going to make everyone happy. But we can really show some valid changes in the program than when we initially had. And a good example, even from the original master plan, which called for several athletic fields and a lot of different amenities.
Amphitheater.
It's mentioned in there. We're not doing it.
No.
So it's been tremendously scaled back from that concept. And so the traffic studies obviously had some concerns that they brought up, and I think Department of Public Works are moving forward to address them. A lot of it was really revolving around Lock Haven and 214. Those were the primary areas of concern. So
And
we
stay
think
tuned
they're
for that. We may have some
Yeah,
news on that coming.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident we're going to be able to address those
But there's
issues.
there's some circumstances that exist on the ground today where the improvements are going to actually alleviate some of the problems that you have on track.
Yeah. One of the things that we know that's true is that good use drives out bad use. And when you have a park that is not developed, that is not being utilized to the fullest extent, you have the opportunity for vandals to come in, for people to come in because there's not a lot of people that are witnessing things. So there's an opportunity for bad behavior. So that's one example. By putting in basic infrastructure, by really opening the park up to the public, then you obviously have almost your built-in security system because people are not as willing to be exposed in those areas. And another example, I can give a couple of these examples. One, Beverly Triton, when I first got to the department, was very difficult to have access to. You actually had to have a permit and get permission to get on. So what we were seeing was that people were parking in the communities, in my community,
Right.
especially on a nice
You can't
weekend day.
You can't get in the gate.
You
so
couldn't get in the
park your
gate.
car in somebody's driveway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so you saw all of that on a regular weekend basis. And then when we initially opened it up and we started putting signs up, look, the access is on Beverly, it completely eliminated that issue. Now, I know in other areas there may be these one-off scenarios where that happens, but I can certainly attest from firsthand experience that we don't have that problem anymore in the community, not the ongoing problem that we had almost every weekend.
And then the sports.
Yeah, and the sports, and most of our parks, especially our athletic parks, were developed quite some time ago, and we have realized that we did not really program them properly when it comes to parking. And that's one of the things that we have rectified in these last few years. And what we were seeing was that even though there may be enough parking for one team that's currently playing, when you have other teams arriving to the game, there was nowhere to park in the parking lot. So what did they do? They parked on the people's streets, on people's lawns, and we have that scenario being played out almost every weekend. So we now program about 80 spots per multi-purpose field, which we did a ton of research. We looked at national standards. It wasn't something we just made up out of the blue sky, but certainly it has alleviated a lot of those issues where we're getting people being upset because somebody's parking in the front yard, or just the congestion when you put cars on a narrow road and can't get any emergency vehicles through, or the normal traffic can't get through because there's no parking inside of the park. So that's one of the goals of us certainly implementing the amount of parking that we have.
Well, this is all very exciting.
It's a lot.
So, and I like what you said, good use drives out bad use.
Yes.
I think that's really important,
It
and
is.
that's the goal with all of our parks.
Yeah.
So
We want everyone to
Yeah.
have fun,
we
Kristin.
do, but we want everyone to be safe.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, master plan, design work, traffic studies, what
Yeah.
happens next?
So right now in our program, really the only park that is funded for construction is Beverly Triton. We keep the master plan for all the parks, and at some point we hope that it will be phased in where we would move from Beverly Triton to Mayo, and then the South River Farm, which also includes the Mayo Reclamation Facility. But Beverly is going to get probably the first upgrade, and very minimal construction. We are going to put a parking lot in. We are looking at the opportunity to put more environmentally friendly parking, so we're looking at alternatives for that. We'll have a restroom, changing stations, and some basic trail improvements there. So we're excited
Can't wait.
about it.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
All right, I'm going to
It
put you
is.
on the spot. We do this with Rec and
Uh-oh.
Parks people sometimes. What's your favorite park?
Whoa.
Oh, you got to pick your favorite child.
Yeah, I don't think I can
Top
say
three?
that right.
Waters.
I will have some staff members that would be very
I had to
upset.
ask.
Yeah,
I had
no,
to ask.
I love I think all of our parks are so unique that
There you go.
they all have their own special place
They
in
all
my
have
heart.
something to
Diplomat.
offer.
My favorite is Fort Smallwood.
That's what my mom
because
says
the
to me
boat
and my
ramp
sister.
and
I love you both.
Boat,
exactly
Yeah.
Fort
right.
Smallwood, the boat ramp was built, and you're getting a ton of people, a ton of interest in that. I've seen the numbers.
Oh,
it's,
yeah.
it's exceeded expectations.
Yes.
And guess what? It's on Mountain Road.
Yes.
Which is
there's a
one of
peninsula.
our worst peninsula roads.
Yes.
And I don't know. I live in Pasadena. I haven't heard anybody say, "Oh, that boat ramp, we just can't get home anymore."
Yeah.
I haven't
Right.
seen it. So I hope, and I know you guys are not. You don't want to clog up the roads and make it difficult
exactly
for people.
right.
You want the people in the neighborhood to enjoy the park, and also
Yeah.
the people who are visiting from elsewhere.
So it's funny that you said that, because you can look at the history of that particular boat ramp, and if you look at the minutes of the meetings, you see that was the number one concern. People were afraid that traffic with boats would be lined up outside the gate, and the former director was proposing some sort of reservation system where people wouldn't be, and none of those things have been a reality. And we've had days where we've completely packed the park out. And it's not just the boat ramp now. County Executive opened the swimming beach,
Yeah.
which has been a huge attraction. Fort Smallwood is probably becoming one of our most visited parks that we have in the department. But again, it's a huge success. We manage it correctly. If there's issues, we address them, and that's what we hope to do with all of our parks.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for all you do
Thank
for our county,
you.
the programming, all our wonderful parks, and we always want to have you back. So don't
Anytime.
wait so long next time. Got
We'll
it?
bring them back
Got
and
it.
make
Bring it
them.
back.
We'll bring
That's
them back
Dave's
and we'll
fault.
say, okay, the park's done now.
Yeah.
You answer to this. What did you say?
Yep,
What
there
did
we
you
go.
say last year?
I
Happy
got you.
spring to you. Happy Easter.
Thank you,
And
you
we'll be
too.
right back with more Week in Review right after this. Don't go anywhere.
Truth is, I'm impressed. I haven't been asked such intelligent questions in a long time. Nice.
Welcome back. Our police department is taking a journey back in time where kids made things with their hands and raced down hills on decked out rides. Michelle Corkadel has more. Michelle?
Thanks, Dave and Kristin. Joining me today at the Anne Arundel County Mobile Crisis Response Office is Corporal Marcus. Thank you so much for joining me.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So we're here today to talk about something, and for me, it's a throwback from the past. When I was growing up, we used to do these soapbox derbies. And I was so excited to hear that our Anne Arundel County Police is bringing back, as part of their efforts, to reach out to the community, to make our children and our teenagers aware that we are here to be with them and support them in their efforts to build the community. And so to that effort, I understand we're doing something with Soapbox Derby, correct?
Yes, we are. I'm really excited about it. I think about two and a half, 3 years ago, one of the kids that I mentored, we got together and we built a Soapbox Derby car together, and it was great, and he really loved it. And so I kind of thought that it would be a great idea for, the police department to do it with a lot of other kids. And one day I pitched it to Captain Plitt, and within about 5 minutes, he said, "Okay, great, you can do it." So ever since then, I've been on like the road trying to recruit other officers. Going through identifying different kids as far as who I think would be, a good candidate to be in the program.
So tell me, you guys are working with children in a variety of communities all across the county. How do you identify those who would benefit the most from from teaming up with a police officer and going out and doing these fun activities?
Basically from the different schools. I have parents that give me a call on occasion, asking me to work with their kids, so on and so forth. Because I've coached youth sports like football and basketball for 20 years. And there's always been that team concept. But I know that when you get that one-on-one interaction, you get a little different result. And I think, and that's what's been working out best. And that's why I came up with the soapbox therapy, because you got this common goal, this project that you're working on together, but along as you're working with them, the kid is identifying you as a police officer, but still as a person. He understands that you have a family, you have kids, wives, so on and so forth, just like he does. And so he's more apt to open himself up and to receive help from you versus,
Well, it sounds like one conversation at a time, we can definitely make a difference and reconnect our communities with our public safety officers, such as yourself. And so tell me more details, what's going on with this spring. I know that you guys are gearing up to do some races maybe. What can we tell the folks? How can they maybe get involved, support you, perhaps even do a donation to that effect?
Okay. Like right now, so what we have is, like I said, we haven't been asking anybody for any type of donations or anything like that. All we was trying to do is identify kids that may be in need. It's an 8 to 10 week program. What the officer is going to do, they're going to, from start to finish, they're going to pick a kid up from his house, take him to Home Depot, and they're going to shop for all of the materials that are needed for this soapbox derby car, and they're going to take him to our substation in Glen Burnie, and they're just going to work on this car, and each officer is making his own schedule with that kid, so it won't be any type of scheduling conflicts or anything like that. And like I said, the kid, And what we're trying to do also is no power tools. We want to teach the kid how to use a hammer and how to use a saw, you know.
That's so cool.
the whole gambit, you know, so they can get the whole experience.
Well, that sounds wonderful, and I look forward to seeing some of our Soapbox Derby cars as a result of this.
Yeah, I am as well. And the competitiveness comes out in the police officers because, you know, because all the cars are going to be stored in one central location, but everybody's going to have tarps on their cars, so nobody wants to steal different, you know, ideas from each other's car. So that little competition is working up as well.
Well, it sounds like we've got a good, healthy competition going on, and it's all about the kids, as it always should be, because that's how we build a better community. And I want to thank you personally so much for all the hard work and effort you guys do, because recognize, folks, these guys are out on the road, plus they're doing overtime. I mean, regular 8-hour days are not in the wheelhouse of our public safety officers. They never are. And so on top of that, and their own families, they're going out and making a difference. And I just think it's fabulous. Thank you so very much.
Yeah, no problem. I'm benefiting from it. Yeah, we really enjoy it.
Well, thank you so much for sharing this win-win about our future Soapbox Derby races here in Anne Arundel County. And once again, thank you for your service, sir.
All right, no problem at all. Thank you.
Back to you.
Thanks, Michelle. That sounds so cool. Now, did you ever have a Soapbox Derby car?
I didn't. I'm kind of sad that I didn't.
No.
Did you?
Okay, so I didn't have a Soapbox Derby car.
Wait, time out. I know this is going to be a Papa Lagana story right
It
here.
is.
I know this is right up Papa Lagana's alley. Go ahead.
So my dad, which I know that there's probably a lot of, I don't want to offend, helicopter parenting going on now.
Where is this going? Yes.
But my dad was firm believer in let them figure it out for themselves.
I love that.
So we had this great idea. I don't know if you remember in the 80s, but there was a toy called a roller racer. And it was shaped like a bicycle seat and it had handles and it was down on the ground and you used it. And we were like, how can we make this faster? And of course we go to Dad, we're like, can we get some rope? And no questions asked. He's like, sure. And then we hook it up to a bicycle. We figure we're going to let the person on the back ride. I don't know why soapbox cars made me think of this, but I think it's just about going fast and racing.
Let me guess, you're driving the bike and your
Vicky's
your poor little sister is on the roller racer.
Yeah. And Dad's like, should work, why not? And I just remember biting it.
Oh,
both of us
must have ate it.
Oh man, her worse than me. But
is that face first?
Yeah.
Those 80s toys, man.
We had that. Vicky had a Barbie Jeep.
Of course.
And we did have a four-wheeler at one point, but no, we didn't have an actual made-it-ourselves soapbox car.
Four-wheeler?
Yeah, we had a four-wheeler.
Man, those
pretty cool.
Get it done.
No soapbox car for you though?
No. I mean, I got my scrapes and bruises other ways, but I don't even think I had what's it called? The roller racer?
Roller racer.
I don't think I had one of those. I do remember it. I definitely remember the commercial. You'll never forget those 80s commercials, right?
Oh yeah.
But well, I'm glad you made it out alive.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
really
alive.
glad Vicky made it out alive.
Vicky too, and we love our father.
So you ate it too? You were riding the bike?
Yeah, because I think when I saw it kind of threw me off and the weight threw me off and I went over sideways, if I recall correctly. But we had funny ideas and they all, we were encouraged to act upon them.
What did Papa Lagana say after you scraped yourself off the
anytime we
pavement?
scraped ourselves or anything like that, he went, that looks so cool, that's awesome. Look at you, yeah, I love that. Always checking us and making sure that we're okay and then calming us down before we start the tears, so. But awesome father, he is.
And speaking of which, before we go, we have to mention that it is Kristin Lagana's second favorite time of year, opening day for baseball.
Day!
The O's are in action.
Yep, we will have taped this before the O's home opener. I hope that they won. I'll be there. I will have been there.
Okay. You were there.
I was there.
As of now, you were there.
I can tell you today that I will have eaten a hot dog because that's all I've been thinking about, our opening day and hot dogs at the ballpark.
And if there was a rain out, then Kristin is sorry for lying to you all on this show.
Sorry.
But hopefully the rain
Looking at my crystal ball, we have a win, sunny day, hot dog. Boom.
Whoa, that's some big talking right there.
That's some big talking. Happy Easter, everybody.
It's going to be a rough year for the Orioles.
Shh, don't say that.
Okay. All right.
Alex Cup.
Happy Easter. Passover is coming. Happy Passover to everybody. That wraps up this week's edition of Week in Review, and you can watch this episode and archived episodes online anytime on Facebook or YouTube by simply searching for Arundel TV. Please tune in again next week for more highlights and news from around the county, and we'll see you next time.